Hey up everybody and welcome back. Well, as you can see, there's nothing happened on that. I've actually been working on something else which I'll show you in a minute. But we are going to be doing this today, as you saw from the title of the video. So what we're going to do is, I've been speaking to Matthew Smith. I meant to look up the name of the company. It's out in, I think, Wisconsin, and they specialise in really old American bikes. Merkel and Excelsior and obviously Henderson and things like that. So he gave me a few pointers on what to expect in here. So what we're going to do today is we'll take the camshaft out, we'll take the bits and pieces out of the gearbox. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this right down to the bare case. Then what we're also going to do, of course, is have a go at those pistons, because I've made a sort of extractor to get them out, which I'll show you in a minute. Now the cases, I was cleaning off the bottom one, and as you can see, they're really nasty, and I was thinking, God, this is going to take me forever. And then I had a thought. Steam Shop Dave, of course, has all the equipment from when he does engine blocks and stuff, and one of the things is this big cleaner. Looks like a big oven, and the door opens downwards, and there's like a carousel thing inside you pull out. You hang cases and cylinder heads and stuff on it. Now when you close it up and set it going, it's like a big dishwasher sort of thing, but it uses a sort of caustic cleaning solution and steam, and it really gets things clean. So that'll save me a lot of elbow grease. So first thing is, I'll show you the thing I've made to try and get these pistons out, and then we'll have a go at getting one out. Right, so first of all, let me show you this. This is actually the barrel that the piston came out of. Hopefully we won't have too much light in here, but can you see the amount of rust in that? It's a bit difficult to get the light in. I'll look at this bit of video in a second. Okay, so that's what we're up against. So let me show you what I've come up with. Now here's one of the ones that it's stuck well down in. So the first thing I've done, I need my torch again, is I bead blasted the inside. So we got rid of all the crud that was there below the piston. Then I wanted something to be able to pull this piston out. So I got a nice big flange here, and we got the big end eye. So what I've made is this. So the idea is that this will go on and sit on that flange. I didn't want something just a sort of single point, so this is spreading out the whole of the force all the way around that flange. This then will go through the big end eye, and we'll turn these nuts, push that up, hopefully pulling the piston out. So let's see what we can do here. I'll stand this up. Well, hang on. Take these off first. Actually, I'm going to probably need a spanner. Well, I will need a spanner, won't I? Definitely, to work the nuts up. Alright, so the idea is that that goes on there like that. Let me make sure that everything is in view. Tell you what, I'll bring you in a little as well. I'll show you just the top. So that's like that. And this is going to go on there. And these will have to go up further down. Boom, 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 boom. Again, it's another one of those things I suppose I should have sorted out before you started. Or before I started anyway. Nearly there. Looks as if I only just went down far enough with these threads. Actually, what was slightly annoying was I couldn't get a long 3/8 bolt in the harder steel, the grade 8. So we'll have to hope that these threads will hold up. So that goes in there. That goes back on there. Put it on the right way, that might help. Like that. Ooh, come on now, I just screwed off there. Let me get a 9/16 spanner. Don't know where the long one's gone. You know what? That's not 9/16, that's 1/2 inch. They're 9/16. Yeah. I'm off again. That's more like it. When I was talking to Matthew, he has new big end bolts and all sorts of things. And there's a chap where a different one where I can send off these shells to get them re-babbited. And then it'll be another trip to Steam Shop Days, because we'll have to get the main bearings line board. Once we've got them babbited, we'll put it all together, we'll know how big the crank pin's going to be. Alright. Of course, this is going to be a relatively slow process because I've got to make sure it's going up straight. Oh God. These things are really stuck, and you've got to remember that when the barrels were on the engine, I was releasing fluid in through the top as well for, God, a couple of weeks. Ooh, I'll have to find a longer. Let me go and find a longer spanner. Right, I've not only got a longer spanner, but I've actually set it in the vise to hold it. Did you hear that? Something went click. Oh, by the way, I can get new pistons. God. Oh. Whoa. I'll tell you what that's done. It's broken the small end eye. So it is going to be new pistons. God. So I doubt whether this is going to come out in one piece. Good grief. Let's set this up on the one where the piston's halfway out. Maybe we'll have some luck with that, although I would imagine now we're going to have to buy a set of pistons anyway, which was recommended to me to get the new pistons for them. So let me set up with the other barrel. Right, we'll try again. And you may notice it's pissing down again. Actually, when I was moving this nut where we were, it damaged the threads, stretched the threads a little bit, so I really need the grade 8 in here. But these are actually, I've drilled and they're into there, so I can just, and I just put a couple of blobs of bronze on so I can get these out and put some harder ones in. Man, these things are really stuck in here. I think that might even be bending this, and this is thick walled stuff. Or is this piston actually moving? Hang on a second. Can you see that mark? Not really. I tell you what. I'm going to move you in. Now, see if you can see that mark moving. See, I'm getting so excited, look. You know, when I put these bolts in, I thought they might be too long. Ha ha ha! Will you look at that? Alright, well that's 2 out, 1 damaged. I better set the other one going. Well, you might want to see what the inside of that barrel looks like now. Pretty grotty. Well, as you can see, I got the piston out. And the way I did it, I didn't film it because it was, you know, it took me ages and it was just messing around. So the first thing I tried to do was drill through the bottom, but it was a really thick crown. Look at the state of that. There's piston rings in there somewhere. So then what I did, because the small end eyes had cracked across the top, was I sawed down. I got just a hacksaw blade on its own. Actually, no, I noticed you can get electric hacksaws with just the blades sticking out like that. Anyway, what I did was I sliced down in 2 places and then managed to break a chunk out, and once I'd done that, of course, that released all the pressure and whatever in there, and funnily enough that started to move round. So then I poked a rod through that hole in the top of the top of the cylinder, and pushed it out. So there it is. So I would say we definitely need a new set of pistons now. So that's 3 of them out. So what I'll do is I'll work on getting the other one out, of course, and to sort of finish off with the barrel head type thing, we'll take a look at the valves. Alright, so here are our exposed valves with their springs, and they're just held in actually with a pin through the top. So the first thing we'll do is sure they're a bit loose. Then I'm going to put a piece of steel under there for the valve to sit on. And all right, let's see if we can get this one out. See, I need to be able to get at the little pin. Oh man. There we go. Now then. Out comes the pin. It's just a simple little pin like that. I'm going to take a little bit out the bottom. There we go. And there we have one valve. So obviously the other side is just a repeat of that. So I'll take that one out, and then we'll move on to the crankcase and get the rest of the bits and pieces out of there. So let's see. Alright, now the camshaft is just here. These are the holes for cam followers to go in, and there's 3 bushings. 1, 2, 3. This one is a split bushing, and they're held in by 3 little bolts, almost acting like sort of grub screws, set screws. This one was missing, which is why this end bush came out. So let's see if I'm still amazed at how easily every bolt is coming out of this. Now Matthew tells me he uses a slide hammer to pull these out, but he pointed out that the end, this end here, can you see that? Only just, hang on. This is difficult, you know, keeping everything right. Okay, this end is well, it's been threaded down to, well, it's turned down to 1/2 inch to be threaded, and then it's got a key slot in it. So he mentioned that it's a little fragile. So what I'm going to try and do is bump this middle one out the same way as I did with the end one. Just, I've got the nut threaded on, then I'm going to put a pair of maul grips on, or vice grips. See, this doesn't help either, having to speak in 2 different languages. It's a lot for me to remember. I'm going to turn you round a little bit even. There you go. I have had 1 or 2 comments about the quality of the videos, and to be quite honest, I'm not bothered. I'm not here to make videos, really. I might have to make a little semicircular sort of drift. Let me lay this down. Ow! Finger in there then. See if this is actually moving. Because of course it's just the cam lobe that it's bumping on. So what I'm going to do is make like this little, like a 1/2 piece of tube to put on there, and then I'll weld a little arm on it that I can tap on the end of the arm and push it out. Let's stand that up. Stay. Yeah, you could just about see what I meant down here. So I thought I might have to. I've got myself a little bit of steel here. I'm going to drill this out and cut it in 2. Cut it straight across, and then, as I say, I'll fit that in there. I'll put a little handle on it that I can tap on, and we'll see if we can't drive it out like that. Alright, this might be a little cack-handed here so that you can see what I'm doing. But the first thing I did was I made this very expensive, highly technical tool, which is going to go in there, and I can pop on this end to push it out. Then of course it'll only go in so far, so we have a second piece which will then go on, and we'll hopefully drive this camshaft bush out. So as I say, I'll try and do this so I'm not in the way. So that goes on there like that. There it goes. Right, push our camshaft back. Okay, I don't think this piece is going to go in there. But through the magic of magnetism, there we go. I wonder if I can put this in and just hold it there. Hey, you bugger. Just stay in there. Oh, there we go, there we go. Okay, now we'll put that on this side. Now then, here you see there's a tiny little cutout. I don't know if you can see it, for the cam lobe to go through. Well, that's what it seems to be there for, anyway. There it goes. Oh, the bushings are steel bushings, look. Now I'll bring you in close for this bit. Bring him in close. Okay. So, where was I? Yeah, there's the bushing. See, it's drilled for oil. And you see this little there? That's where the bolt goes through to lock it in place. And there's the other half, and it's got its little bit. So there you go. Like that. And then apparently, oh no, I've forgotten his name. I had another good viewer who's worked on these, and he mentioned that this isn't so much a grub screw as it actually opens that up and keeps it right. So there's that. Look at that. These have been out before. Somebody's used a chisel on them. Dear, dear, dear. Alright, so that's the camshaft going to come out, but what I'm going to do is, look at that, don't want to touch the camera with that, do I? Oh, hold on a minute. Now, as I mentioned, there's another bush in this end, so what I want to do here actually is push this camshaft back and see. Actually, do you know what? There's virtually no play in that bush. Very good. So where's our little notch? There it is. Of course, the camshaft's going to have to be turned each time. Get through that little notch. Through that little notch. And there it is. As you can see, there's some really bad rust on this. Some of them aren't rusted at all. And some of them are really bad. But we'll see if it's just minor pitting once this rust is off or what. Okay, we got that out. Now I want to show you something. I'm dirty again. Now then, what I want to show you is this, and we're going on this little journey of discovery together. These are the hold down bolts or studs for the cylinders. Now when I first look at these, before I just scrape this dirt off, you'll notice there's a slotted, well, like grub screw in there. And at first what I thought was that out here this was cast, And here, because of all the holes, they decided that the casting wasn't strong enough, so they'd put a plate on, held on with that. But as I've cleaned this off, I found that this is just a casting. So why have they put that in there? It's similar to let's have a look. I've got an extra light here. It's similar to these. See, these screws, there are 4 of them along this side, just seem to be screwed into the casting. And funnily enough, on the other side there's a row of screws that are screwed in from the outside. So let's turn this over and see if we can see something about these places where the cylinder mounting studs are. Here's the other side, and as you can see, apart from the muck, there's a little hole there. So that is the side. Yeah, that's where that screw went in. Now then, as you can see, there's a little hole here, and that's got that slotted bolt in there. This is where the sort of web of the casting is, and then there's another hole there, and there's another one of those little bolts in there. This is very odd, and you drop you down slightly. There you can see those screws sticking out. They just don't seem to go to anything. And let me turn this around. This is heavy for a little old man, you know. What can we see here? There's a row of screw heads here, and they don't seem to go to anything on the inside. So any insight into that will be much appreciated. Right, let's see if we can get the gearbox bits and pieces out. I thought I'd just give a closer look at these bushes. So there's the 2 holding bolts, and as you can see they've got a sort of nose on them, and the nose is going to go in there. And then of course when we've got the other half on, it'll just fit in like that. But it's a loose fit, so I don't know about this idea of them forcing them out. But anyway, the other thing was, I wasn't sure whether they were just sort of solid metal or whether they were babbited as well. But as you can see, I cleaned it up with a wire brush. There's no sign of there being a babbit lining. But what is noticeable is the brake, as if they've been, maybe with a slitting saw sort of thing, cut almost through on both sides, and then just the final bit broken apart. So I don't know what that was for. Anybody with any information on that, that would be gratefully received. So let's get on with the gearbox. And so the first thing we'll do is get these off. This is the shaft that the selector fork is on, and this is the shaft that seems to carry 1 gear, because it's got another selector fork on it. Now they're both 1.1/8, but I can get that on there, but that is so close to this I can't get it on. So I know I don't have an 1.1/8 open ended, and I've just checked, it's just slightly bigger than 28mm, and I don't have a 29mm one. I jump up to 30. So, oh, and I did have one comment. When I was taking this off before, this was the one with the broken stud. You can see the broken stud there. I haven't drilled it out yet. But I was looking at it and I thought, you know, that's a very odd bolt pattern, those 4. And when those 4. When I cleaned all the crud off, of course there was 2 more. So that's why that came off. Anyway, I've got this on its lowest setting. It is now its lowest setting, isn't it? Let's have a look. Move it up a few. There we go. Right, so that's coming off. Oh, it's a lock nut to lock that. So I wonder if we should take this out first, because there's another thin flat nut behind that. That's a very small slot. Got to be a bigger screwdriver than that. See if I've got a wide screwdriver with a thin head. Wider, bigger with a thin head. Let's take this off and then see if we can undo that nut behind it. Yeah, I think I'm going to start using my other one of these. I think maybe this has had its day. So there's one, and as you can see there's another one behind it. So let's give them a soak. I'll see if I can find something that'll fit that. Well, here's the thing. I was just trying to push this 28mm on, and this started to turn. And it's a left-hand thread. So look at that. Would you credit it? Alright, let me unscrew that. Right, now let's see if this won't come off. I was just thinking, it's a good job I couldn't get that in there, because I would never have thought that it was left-handed thread, and I might have battered away at it without realising it. There we go. Okay. Let's turn this over. Can you see that? Not much, but anyway, there's the first selector fork. There's another one in here. Interesting why that is adjustable, why there's a slotted head on this. Oh, I'm doing it again, look. This is bloody difficult. Well, there's a slotted head and this screws into that. I mean, that screws into the case to give it the mounting. So, anyway. This is a bit of a catch-22 thing. That's got to slide through that selector fork. Let's see if that just needs a little help. Right, we'll leave that to go. Now, I had one person mention, very good idea, about marking all of these caps so that I know where they go and which way they go on. And actually, I don't need to, because not only are the caps marked, but the casings are marked as well, and the orientation of the numbers is the same. It's in this plane. So, for instance, there, number one there. If I put number one cap on number one spot with the number one the right way up, they go on properly. And it's the same with all of them. So that saves stamping up numbers on things. That's very helpful. Bit like the Yamaha, isn't it? Casting things in so that it's helpful. A couple of them had faded slightly, I couldn't see them that well. But let me press on with this and bring you back. Now then, on the other side of this shaft there was a plug which I was able to take out and then put a punch in just to get that going, which it has. So there's that, and there. So that one should come off there. There we go. So there's one selector fork. See, goes in that way. Remember that, Michael. And then there's a smaller one here. Which goes in like that and has a spring on it. Okay. Now then we can see about getting the levers off the top. Right, now I've heated these two up just to speed things along. Taken out the two little lock screws that went in there. So let's see if we can just knock these out with a punch. Oh, they're in there good and tight. Great. Alright, we'll set them soaking. And I'll probably put the nut on so I can give them a bit more of a bump. Thought while I was leaving those other levers to soak, we'd see about getting this clutch one out. Alright, now see, there's those two bolts I was trying to get at before. It was mentioned to me that I was fortunate in how easy that came out because of wear on these forks, and they really are worn deeply by the looks of it, so I'll have to see how much they're worn. I might just possibly build that up with some weld and reform it. So anyway, that's that out as well. So we'll go back to soaking the actual gear change levers. Now I just thought I'd give these a try, and actually that one moved, so let's see what's what. These are 3/8 fine. So rather than rummage around for the original nuts, I just screwed a new one on. Make sure it's got plenty of thread. There we go. Put that one back because it's stainless steel. It's too expensive to throw around. There we go. There's our little key. Whoa. No key in there. It's a keyway. But no key. All right. Now these should just, that key was loose. All right, so these should just, let's turn this over. There's one. And there is the other one. So are they identical? The ends are tapered where the key is, look. So they look to be identical. The one with the little bobble on the end though came from the from next to number 2 bearing cap. Alright, so we'll put them away. So the next thing I'll do is take all these caps off. The bushings I'll just scribe some numbers on so that when we get them back from the from rebabbiting, we'll know which ones they went into. And then the next thing is to take this to steam shops and get it cleaned. Right, I've taken the cases off to steam shops to put in his big engine cleaner cabinet thing, and the Henderson is reduced to a pile of bits. So that's it for this week. Next week we will take the clutch off so we get down to the bare crank, so I can take that and get it reground, and then we'll know what size the crank pin journals are going to be and the mains and everything, and I can send those off to be relined with Babbitt, and then when they come back we can build them into the cases and get them line board and things like that. And in the meantime I will get this last piston out and get the barrels all bead blasted and cleaned up so that I can measure them and we can find out about pistons and all the rest of it. So as I say, that's it for next week. So until I see you again, enjoy yourselves.